Hi, Geo 110. Excuse the frog in my throat. At some point, I am going to remember to bring my ring camera or my ring light to these recordings so I look less like I'm recording in a dungeon. I also thought I brought over my acid. We're working on the sedimentary lab today. There's my acid. We're going to need acid. Now, the great thing about sedimentary lab is exercise one, super straightforward. You're basically doing exactly what you did with the Igneous Rock Lab. I am going to give you some tips on that. Great. The second exercise, I'm going to say do your best. Um, I'm only going to mark you off if you put down like truly unreasonable answers. Any reasonable It's really hard to nail the right answer on those. So let's take a look at this. That's the one on depositional environment. So let's first look at the identification, which is exercise one, which is once again pretty straightforward. And the explanation of it that they give is a little, but I'm going to walk you through using some of the examples from your rock kit. So if you pay attention, you'll get some of your rocks identified and part of your chart filled out. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're working on this lab right here. This is the Sedimentary Rocks lab. Let's take a look. For materials, it lists digital camera, smartphone, roll-up tap, butter, penny. And then from the kit, hand lens, pair of gloves, rock identification kit. So you're definitely going to need this kit, the big rock kit. Um, These, most of this stuff, what you're gonna need is your acid bottle and then the little bag of rock identification stuff. And what you're really gonna be using the most in there is the hand lens. You're also, I don't see it on the list, but it would be really helpful if you pulled it out. You have a ruler in your kit. So either grab that ruler or the ruler, a ruler you have around the house. That is gonna help you out a lot. So, because we're going to be asking questions about like how big are the grains in this rock, and a lot of people don't know what 2 millimeters looks like off the top of their head. So, let's take a look at exercise one. It's going to first you take a picture and you upload the photo. Already getting emails, it's not taking my photo. I'm going to tell you one thing pattern that I notice is that if you're taking pictures with an iPhone, and you take a picture in the HEIC format, it's not going to take that. So, not your fault. Just email it to me. I won't mark you off. If I do mark you off, email me again and be like, Dr. E, it's in the email because it's happening a lot. There's a lot of little glitches for me to account for. So, I always appreciate the patience that you extend to me. I am trying to extend patience to you. Let's give everybody grace in this. So online labs are not the easiest. So we're looking at this. We have these identifications. Now you're like, where did I learn all this? You learn this in these readings and these exercises up here. So as a quick review, clastic, that means it's made of little chunks of rock. Biogenic, that means it's made of shells. And then chemical, that means usually that it's like seawater or something else, water from a river that had calcite in it, and that water dried up. But there's some kind of precipitation going on in there. If you know that word from chemistry, great. If you don't worry about it. It's just crystals forming in water, okay? Either from changes of temperature or saturation or whatever. Um, so it's going to be hard in my classes, in my in-person classes. I tell people straight up whether or not it's clastic or not, because I find that helps students a lot. I'm going to help walk you through the rocks because that's going to help narrow it down a whole heck of a lot. You're going to determine your grain size. Not all things have a grain size. Put it in table one. And these are your samples. So you're only working through 9, 10, 11, 9 through 16. That's the only ones that you're working with. First thing, fill out this column, this column, this column before you fill out this column. So you use these columns to identify it up here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you some pointers on your kit and walk you through it and do some of the examples with basically walk you through some examples. So here's your kit. It should look like this. And we're only looking at, we're starting here at number 9. And we're going to take a look at number 9. And I'm going to, Dr. E, you should get bifocals. Dr. E probably should get bifocals, but we're not going to have that discussion right now. So, to see the rock, she took off her glasses. So I look at rock number 8 or number 9, and I see in my sample, and you should probably see if we have the same rock, similar things, I can actually see teeny tiny pebbles. And the question is, how big are those pebbles? So I'm going to find a really big pebble, and I'm going to take my ruler. Now you're going to see on your ruler, you've got big numbers, 1, 2, 3, and then little lines in between them. The big 1, 2, 3, those are centimeters. The teeny tiny lines in between, those are millimeters. So I put this rock up here, put this pebble in here, and I can see, I'm going to try and do this on the screen. I can see that this teeny tiny pebble, so see, I got a little pebble right there. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to measure that little pebble. I'm going to say that's about 2 or 3 millimeters. So I've got round pebbles that are about 2 or 3 millimeters. So when I say grain size, I'm going to say about 2 millimeters for this guy. Composition. It's hard with class. I don't make people do that with clastic because it's not diagnostic. But the easiest way to do this is you start with the acid test. We put a little acid on it, and then we ask the question, does it fizz? If it fizzes, what mineral is in there? Do the Dora the Explorer. What mineral fizzes? That's right, calcite. This does not fizz, so it is not calcite. I'm next going to go over here. And I'm going to take my piece of glass. I'm going to put, this is very thin, so you're going to want to put this down on your table and try to scratch it. And I notice it does scratch. Now, is this totally diagnostic? No. But we're doing just kind of an estimate guesstimate for these rocks. So if it scratches glass, say that it has quartz. So number 9, we've got 2 answers. Grain size, around 2 millimeters. Composition, quartz. Rock type. Ah, I see that first column. Rock type. I see pebbles in it. So of the 3, that's got to be clastic. Clastic's the one where you, clast means chunk. So if you see chunks of rock, then it is clastic. So I've got that it's clastic. I can see pebbles. I can see that it's got quartz in it. The pebbles are rounded and around or bigger than 2 millimeters. Do I know my rock already? Take a look at the chart. We're in the clastic row. We're going to have the biggest grains are 2 millimeters or above, and they're rounded. That's right. If you said conglomerate, good job. So there we go. We're going to tuck number 9 back in there. So we've gone ahead and we've identified it. Let's take a look at, really quickly, we're going to skip ahead. We're going to take a look at number 12. Okay. So number 12, I'm going to start with the rock type, and I'm going to look at it. And mine in particular, it's got some weird shapes in there. And if I look really closely, they look like really regular patterns. They look kind of like shells. So I'm going to say this is made out of shells and it is biogenic. So I know what section I'm in. Now I'm going to check its composition. This is number 12 once again. We're looking at number 12. I'm going to put a drop of acid on there. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. I know what mineral it is. Calcite. So we got calcite in there. So we've got shells, and then it's made of calcite because it fizzes. All right, so we got calcite, we got biogenic, calcite, mineral grain size. I don't see any grains in here. So you can put not applicable or none if you don't see any grains. Or small slash none. Okay, because you as a student, how would you tell if you see no grains or none? Like it's hard, but you don't see any grains in that. So we've got the mineral, we've got the grain size, it fizzes. Let's take a look at our chart. Saying coarse to medium grain size. Okay, I guess they're counting fossils as a grain. So it's got big old fossils in it. So we'll call that coarse to medium. So you see on the biogenic, it's got shells, it effervesces with acid, it contains calcite, it's biogenic. Which one is it? That's right. Number 12 is phosphoriferous limestone. So that kind of gives you a basic idea of biogenic versus classic. You're not always going to be able to see the grains and stuff in biogenic. Let's take a look at a couple more just to make sure that we're understanding. That's what that is. I don't know if you're, I just did a test. So let's suppose we have number 10. Number 10, I dropped acid on it. It does not fizz. I rub it on the glass. It doesn't scratch glass. What is it? So the two other types of mineral or makeup composition that you might be looking at are halite, which is salt. So I can lick it. Don't look where the acid is. Just, and doesn't taste salty. And I noticed that it's black and powdery. So I'm going to say this one is organic. And there's only one on here, biogenic, organic. It's filled with just like mostly just, it's just what we would, so the process is called pyrolysis, where I don't know how to say this without saying that word, where basically you heat up organic matter and get rid of all the oxygen. So this has undergone pyrolysis. It basically looks like a piece of coal or charcoal. But can you guess what it is? Ah, yes. Dr. Even said it. Number 10 is coal. And then if we go through, if I lick one of these, and it might be even good just to lick all of them all at once, one of these is rock salt. And you'll know that one because it tastes like salt. So you can even just go through and quick lick all of them before you even put acid on them and find your rock salt right there. And then you got that identified. So I gave you either the identity or a quick way to find 4 out of your 8. So you've only got 4 more to go. So you see the first part, very straightforward, not bad at all. Let's move on to the slightly more confusing part. Exercise 2. So this is not something I usually handle in GO 110 at all, except at its most basic level, like very, very basic. Are you, like we do this thing with shells where we talk about environment and we identify what environment the shells that are on the college buildings came from. But it's real, this is more of an advanced GO 132 level kind of thing. So I'm going to say on this, do your best. Like, for example, number 9 is a conglomerate, right? We know that. We named it. Conglomerates have big rounded grains. If for number 1 you put lake, that would be great. If you put, or actually, if you put river based on this description, that would be great. If you put delta, that would be great. All of those sound great because they all talk about big rounded grains. That's good enough. If it's anything in the big, well-rounded beach, perfect. I would take that too. Why? Because I know all of those rocks look different, but there's nothing in this to explain to you why those rocks should look different. So, like, I know a sandstone is associated with a beach, but how would you know that? There's nothing in this module that's going to explain that to you. So, as long as you get like some general characteristics, um, we're good. Like if you find a limestone and you put anything on the list that involves shells, I'll count it as right. Okay. So just shoot for a ballpark. Okay. Like shoot for your best attempt and I will absolutely take it. Don't let it stress you out. I know that's almost impossible for some students not to like stress you out. I was that student, I calm down, don't stress out. Like, how do I do that? That's not the way that I'm built, okay? But I'm telling you that I'm gonna grade that second part very gently because I don't feel like they educated you well enough. Whereas that first part, I already gave you 4 of your rocks. You just got to figure out the other 4. Okay? And don't be afraid to email me. So I'm going to be grading exercise 1 at a much higher level than I am at exercise 2, where I'm like, ooh, did they give it a go? And that's all I'm looking for on number exercise 2. Give it a go. Give it your best shot. So don't let it stress you out. Um, I'm here to, I'm here. I'm here by email. I can meet in the evening, some evenings. It's okay if labs are a little late. These recordings have been coming out a little late, so I totally understand that. Um, and just know that I'm here for you and I want you to get an A. And let's work together to get you that A. You know, really just keep turning stuff in. Most people have been acting in good faith, turning things in really regularly, doing the stuff. I'm sorry I'm behind on my grading a little bit. I'm gonna try and get caught up, particularly for this, because I got caught up in the 131 last week. I'm gonna try and get caught up in this class this week on Wednesday. Um, but the online grading, like if you think these labs suck on your end, like like on my grading end, it's real bad. Like it's very confusing to try and grade and takes a lot of time. So I'm trying my best and muscling through it. We're all going to give each other grace. Learning labs online is not the easiest. So just know I'm extending grace to you. I appreciate any grace you're extending back to me. I appreciate you being my student. I'm always here to answer questions. I don't believe there's such a thing as a stupid question, so don't be afraid to email me. Even if you're like, I don't know what labs do this week, I'd rather you ask. I'll probably tell you where to find that information, but that doesn't mean I'm annoyed or anything. I'm just teaching a man to fish, you know? So, peace, namaste. Hope you have a good time with this lab. Try to, I'm not going to grade it super duper hard. And I think that particularly that first part that's so similar to our igneous rocks portion, I think you're going to do great. I think you're going to do great. So, yeah, have a great rest of your day and don't be afraid to ask questions.